Valley's leading news program with Deuces Rogers, meteorologist Cecily Tynan, and Brian Taff.
It's not every night the radar looks quite like this. A widespread mess of yellows and reds and oranges representing buckets of rain drenching nearly the entire region. It's already been a day of consistent rainfall, and the hardest of it is just beginning now. Good evening. It's Tuesday night, and the big story on Action News tonight is that AccuWeather alert for the flooding rain falling right now and the wind prompting warnings as well. The Action Cam with a live look right now at several locations tonight. This is the scene along Kelly Drive and the Schuylkill River, which is expected to crest sometime tomorrow. As a result of this storm, you see Penn's Landing in the middle. The suburbs also dealing a very real flood threat tonight as inches of rain are causing creeks to swell. Cecily.
And Brian, the worst is yet to come. Right now, the rain is starting to intensify more. Storm Tracker 6 Live double scan showing that it's really lighting up, including our new Storm Tracker, new radar in Lancaster shows us more of what's to come. And we're starting to see more of the banding. And these bands will continue to intensify as the kind of heart of the storm gets closer to us as we head between about 9 o'clock and midnight. So one band has left the region. It's starting to regenerate parts of Chester County, Delaware County, and a wider view showing that there's incredible heavy rain with some severe weather that's moving across the heart of Virginia, and that's what's heading our way tonight. In addition to that, we'll be dealing with the wind. Part of the reason why we have high pressure to the east, we have this intense low pressure storm to the west. So there's a wind tunnel effect that has a direct tropical connection. Warmer air holds more moisture, so that's why we're looking at the potential for the flooding rains and also the melting snow across the Poconos and the Lehigh Valley. So as we head through the night, streets, low-lying area, they're already getting the flooding. That will continue through about midnight. Smaller creeks and streams, they will be cresting early tomorrow morning. So if you live near a waterway, please make sure you leave your phone on so you can get any alerts overnight. And the major river, this depends on how much snow melt and how intense the rain bands will be, cresting Wednesday afternoon through Thursday morning. And then, of course, we have the winds. Wilmington already reporting a wind gust of 59 miles per hour. At the shore, those winds are going to be very strong, more than 60 miles an hour tonight. Once the storm pulls out, we've got another one waiting on the wings by Friday. I'll talk more about that coming up in the AccuWeather 7-day forecast. Brian.
Okay, see you shortly, Cecily. Thank you. Emergency management officials in Philadelphia have been gearing up for this one, clearing storm drains and reinforcing those flood-prone areas. Now that we're in the thick of it, the operation shifts from getting ready to reacting to any water emergencies that may arise. Action News reporter Becca Hendrickson joining us live on Penn's Landing tonight, keeping tabs on the Delaware River, which could crest by the time this thing is done. Becky, you spoke with city officials today. What's the word from them tonight?
Brian, they're telling us that this is one of those nights where once you get home, you should stay there. Now, we're on Columbus Boulevard because this is one of the areas that typically floods when we get heavy rains like this. I want to give you a look right now. So far, you can see the wind is starting to pick up. We're getting some ponding on the roadways, and you can see in those bushes just how quickly it's going. These conditions expected to get worse as the night continues. What looks like minor ponding on the road now could quickly turn into something like this. Flooding rains under the Ben Franklin Bridge.
Little as 6 inches of water, which doesn't look that deep, but moving very quickly. It's enough to knock an adult over. Meaning it's dangerous to travel through. The city is ready for the threat of floods and high winds. Rescue teams are closely monitoring these hot spots. River Road in Roxborough, Main Street in Manayunk, Cobbs Creek Parkway, Kelly Drive, and Columbus Boulevard. The ultimate goal is going to be to get through this onslaught of rain safely and get things back to normal. In the meantime, conditions are expected to get worse until high tide around midnight.
We know that we're going to have problems somewhere, but we don't know where those areas are going to be until kind of the rain and the precipitation sets up.
That's why the Pennsylvania Emergency Management Association has Black Hawk helicopters, water rescue teams, and the National Guard on standby.
These events, we've seen people, swept away, cars swept away, family members swept away, those types of things. And we really want to emphasize, they're highly dynamic situations.
And Brian, also why they want to emphasize that, of course, do not drive through flooded roadways in any situation at all. Now, I did also have a conversation with the Philadelphia Marine Unit. They said high tide for the Delaware expected a little after midnight. That's when we could see some flooding on these roadways and possibly a few hours before then, too. For now, live in Penn's Landing, Becca Hendrickson, Channel 6 Action News. Brian?
Okay, Becca, thank you. And to your point, roads around the region expected to be nothing short of treacherous over the coming hours. The heavy rain combined with snow melt from that storm this past weekend will make some roads impassable. A live look right now from the situation through the lens of Mobile 6 making its way along Route 309 at Easton Road, this in Fort Washington. Caution is the word at this hour. As a reminder, if you don't know how deep any standing water is, do not drive through it. Well, the stormy conditions also impacting flights. There have already been about 20 cancellations, more than 130 delays at Philadelphia International Airport. Make sure to check in with your airline if you're planning on flying out tonight. We've got this just into Action News, a very dangerous situation unfolding in Pike Creek, Delaware. Right now, about 6 power lines have fallen here on Milltown Road near Pecksniff Road. Some of those live wires have fallen on top of vehicles. There are people trapped inside. No word on any injuries at this point, but as you can see, fire crews are on the scene. Action News will monitor this situation, bring you all the latest on 6abc.com. Montgomery, Delaware, Bucks, and Berks counties all bracing for the brunt of this massive system as well. As we said, it's just not just the sheer amount of rain, but the rapid snow melt from that last round is going to cause flooding in creeks and rivers and on roadways. That, of course, spells trouble for homes at low-lying areas and basements pretty much everywhere. Action News reporter John Paul joining us live in Montclair, Montgomery County tonight. John, that canal behind you is one of those that's prone to flooding.
It is. Yeah, this whole area is prone to flooding, and it's miserable out here. But you know who's enjoying it? These guys. The ducks just kind of swimming around here in this canal. This canal runs just next to the Schuylkill River, which is about 100 yards that way, and it has been rising. They are used to this. This area has flooded before, so we know that first responders spent the day today getting ready.
But think about how you're going to get home tonight and try and stay off the roads.
A warning from the Director of Emergency Services in Delaware County as rain continues to pound the area.
Chester Creek, Darby Creek, all those areas along 95, they're going to flood. The water simply has nowhere to go when it's high tide.
There's so much concern, swiftwater rescue crews are stationed throughout the area preparing for the worst.
We have a staffing starting at 4 o'clock today for our swiftwater rescue team through tomorrow at 4 o'clock.
In Chester County, barriers and road closure signs are strategically placed in areas prone to flooding. In Schuylkill Township and in nearby Phoenixville as well, as water started pooling up well before the worst of the storm.
It's always concerning, yeah. It's odd that it happens so often now.
Frank McLaughlin owns Fitzwater Station near the banks of the Schuylkill River in Montclair. He's seen his fair share of flooding over the years. He even marked the high water spot from the last major flood from Hurricane Ida in 2021. The only thing spared was the bar, built in the 1940s. Now he keeps a close eye on the rising river that's so close to his property.
We watch the projections, and watching them today, it's showing it shouldn't flood us, but, you know, there's snow up north now.
And we're back out here live. We've been out here for a few hours now, and this is about as hard as I've seen it coming down. And Brian, I want to show you this in person because I don't know if the video really does it justice. This is that watermark for Ida. You can see it says 9/1/21. I'm 6 foot tall. It's higher than me, so they're not expecting that kind of rain, but they are expecting the Schuylkill River to flood its banks. Live in Montclair, John Paul, Channel 6 Action News. Brian?
Yeah, no one ever wants to see a new sign put up there, John. Thank you, and stay safe out there. Residents in Chester County already dealing with flooding conditions tonight. This is video in a short time ago from East Chestnut Street and Montgomery Avenue in West Goshen. You can see that intersection is already swamped. Meanwhile, damaging winds, the major concern at the shore tonight. Our Sky 6 at theshore.com camera giving us a live look now at the boardwalk there in Ocean City. Hard to tell the wind, but it is whipping. At this hour, officials have asked residents to secure any loose outdoor furniture or decorations as conditions deteriorate tonight. Atlantic City Electric says it has additional crews on standby in case of power outages. Coastal flooding also possible, so it's a good idea to move your cars to higher ground. All of New Jersey under a state of emergency until tomorrow. Be sure to download the 6ABC app to track all the developments tonight. In addition to getting the latest alerts from AccuWeather, you can check possible flooding in local waterways and updated charts from the National Weather Service. All right, let's check back in with Cecily Tynan, the AccuWeather alert in effect here tonight. And to your point, much of this is going to happen between now and midnight under darkness. People really should be prepared for the possibility of losing power tonight.
Absolutely. So have everything charged. And if you live in a flood-prone area, make sure you have your device on. So if you get a flood warning, you'll know.
Charge it now.
Absolutely. Let's go live on Sky 6. And this really tells the story. We are live at Philadelphia International Airport, and you can almost see the windswept rain. The raindrops are almost moving horizontally because the winds are just so darn strong. And Storm Tracker 6 live double scan. Earlier this afternoon, we had shades of light green. We had light rain. Now it's really blossomed with a lot of the bands of yellow, and it almost feels like a tropical system where you get the bands of heavy rain and then you get a little break in the action where it's not as heavy and then it reloads again. So one band is moving through South Jersey right over Millville right now. Another one is developing into Delaware, and these bands also have some pretty intense wind gusts, and we'll have the stronger winds later on tonight. Norristown right now, you're getting some very heavy downpours, also some heavier downpours moving through Reading, and these will intensify as we head towards midnight. Rainfall so far really impressive. Many areas closing in on an inch, and the Poconos 1.34. That 0.34 came in the form of snow this afternoon before that change over to rain. In the Poconos, many areas more than 6 inches of rain on Sunday. So then we're adding to all that water with the snow melt. Wind gusts, look at Wilmington. That wind gust currently 56 miles per hour, and the squall line ahead of a cold front with the strongest winds, that will be arriving later on tonight. Future tracker showing shortly after 11 o'clock tonight. This is when we really start to tap into the low-level jet with the strongest winds. 58-mile-an-hour wind gusts near Philadelphia, 66 in Cape May, and this model is showing wind gusts more than 70 miles an hour in Atlantic City. So that's when we have our best potential of power outages. Satellite and radar showing right now we've got the bands of heavy rain, but look in Virginia. This is the heaviest rain, and this what is moving our way later on tonight. So future tracker showing around 8 o'clock. This is when we start to get some of that squall line activity pushing out of Maryland, moves into Philadelphia around 10 o'clock. The squall line has the heaviest downpours, the strongest winds, pushing off the coast around midnight, and then our weather certainly settles down, although the flooding likely will continue through the day tomorrow. So we have flood warnings for pretty much all of our creeks across the area. Neshaminy Creek forecast to be about 3.5 feet above flood stage. 7 o'clock tomorrow morning, Perkiomen 2 feet, Brandywine 1.8, and the Assunpink 1 foot above flood stage by 1 o'clock in the morning. Coastal flooding is happening right now. Overall, it's minor. The bigger problem will be the tidal flooding along the Delaware, forecast to be moderate between 10 o'clock tonight and 2 o'clock tomorrow morning. And even once the rain's out of here tomorrow, I do think we'll have the lingering flooding. So the exclusive AccuWeather 7-day forecast. A few morning showers tomorrow. It's windy, that high 49 degrees. Thursday, beautiful day, 50 degrees. Enjoy it. Clouds roll back in on Friday, 48 degrees. Rain Friday night, 1 to 2 inches. So this means we have the risk of additional flooding. And then we have a big change in our air mass by the weekend. Saturday, 55 the high. We hit that in the morning. Then temperatures dropping. Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, temperatures only in the 30s. Tuesday, storm could bring us rain or possibly some snow. I will have more on that and a lot on Storm Tracker coming up on Action News at 11.
It's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 punch.
It's a very active, very active
with it.
pattern.
Cecily, thank you.
Action News, Delaware Valley's leading news program, with meteorologist Adam Joseph, Deuces Rogers, Gray Hall, and Shari Williams.
Our wet and windy Tuesday now spreading, and tonight we are not out of the woods just yet. as all that rain continues to fall.
Trees have been toppled and roads covered with water as we also keep an eye on the rivers, creeks and streams that could overflow their banks.
It is Tuesday night. I'm Gray Hall with Shari Williams. The big story tonight on Action News is an AccuWeather alert as a powerful storm continues to pound the entire tri-state area.
Yeah, we have had some reports of flooding, uprooted trees, down power lines, and also power outages. There are about a dozen school delays for tomorrow morning, so be sure to check 6abc.com for the latest information on that.
And tonight we have live team coverage of the stormy conditions. Meteorologist Cecily Tynan tracking the drenching rain and also the winds.
Action News reporters Becca Hendrickson and Sharifa Jackson are gathering footage of the flooding and the downed trees. Let's start tonight, though, with meteorologist Cecily Tynan with, of course, that radar says.
And Shari and Gray, this has been almost like a tropical rainstorm, but it's January. Now, Storm Tracker 6 Live Double Scan has some good and bad news. Now, the good news is you can see the back edge of the rain is moving into our area. It's drying out in western Lancaster County, western Berks County. The bad news is that this line you see right here, that squall line, that's the worst of the storm. It's raking through our area right now. It was two lines separate. It's kind of congealed into one. It's passed through Philadelphia, heading towards Trenton right now, heading right across the Atlantic City Expressway into Burlington County. And this is the line ahead of a cold front that has the strongest winds and has the most intense rain. The rainfall rates are just off the charts, more than 2 inches an hour near the Morris River, and that's the kind of rate that you get when you get a thunderstorm in the middle of summer. So it's torrential rain, and we do have a lot of power outages because of the wind and the rain, and we also have a lot of flooding. Flood warnings across the area. Where you see that lime green in the counties, those are the aerial flood warnings, and then the darker greens, those are the individual waterways. Almost all of our creeks and streams are now over their banks, and the flooding will continue into tomorrow. This is part of the reason why the rainfall about an inch along the coast, close to 2 inches, a little more than 2 inches along I-95, and the Poconos closing in on 3 inches, and they also had more than 6 inches of snow, so the snow melt is adding to the flooding. Then we talk about the winds anywhere from 51 miles an hour Philadelphia, more than 60 miles an hour at the coast, so that's causing a lot of power outages. Tomorrow morning for the commute, giving it a red light. Please be careful. Going to be a lot of flooding, a lot of roads closed, and also a lot of trees down. I'll talk about our weather settling down before we have another system on the way. Coming up with a full AccuWeather forecast. Back to you.
Yeah, rough night and no doubt a rough morning as well. Cecily, thank you.
Well, some frightening moments for those inside of this white truck in Pike Creek, Delaware earlier tonight. Live power lines were knocked down right on top of the truck, trapping 2 people inside. Thankfully, they stayed inside of the vehicle until the power crews could respond.
It all happened right there along Milltown Road, right near Pecksniff Road. There have been no reports of any injuries. The skating rink at Dilworth Park right there outside of Philadelphia City Hall, a ghost town tonight. Look at this image. No one out there skating in the rain.
Well, it makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You can see the raindrops still on the camera lens as it continues to come down out there at this hour. Let's turn now to Action News reporter Becca Hendrickson.
She is live for us at Penn's Landing with a look at conditions across the city tonight. Raining heavily where you are, Becca.
It is, Gray. We've been monitoring this area on Columbus Boulevard right under the Ben Franklin Bridge all night, and I'll show you why. Because it's one of the areas that tends to always flood. Just in the past half an hour or so, we've seen police kind of checking this out to flood and rain starting to come in, and all of a sudden that water is coming up over the curb toward us. Photographer Mark and I actually probably need to move to higher ground soon. This is one of the areas, like I said, Philadelphia police always monitor during large storms like this, and they expect it to still get worse as the night goes on. As rain and wind whip water down the roadways, emergency crews are asking drivers to stay clear.
Flooding, even though it may look safe, it is not safe. What may look like 2 inches of water could be 2-3 feet of water. So if you see flooding, don't go through it.
Ponding began early in the evening on Columbus Boulevard, one of the hot spots Philadelphia police have been monitoring for flooding. The others, River Road in Roxborough, Main Street in Manayunk, Cobbs Creek Parkway, and Kelly Drive.
I was just riding on the 76 and I seen the Schuylkill River. It seems a little rough out there, but other than that, it's not too bad. We had worse.
As waters rise in the Schuylkill River, the wind is another threat, knocking down this tree on Kelly Drive and this one onto a car on the 1800 block of Green Street in Spring Garden.
There are alternate routes. We're in a very large city. There are many roadways. There's alternate routes pretty much for everything.
Police are urging anyone who can to stay home during the storm. As high tide approaches after midnight, the threat of flooding becomes higher too.
The ultimate goal is going to be to get through this onslaught of rain safely and get things back to normal.
Some residents, however, didn't want to break their routine despite the inclement weather.
We are going to the gym because the grind doesn't stop.
Maybe not the best choice tonight. You could see a Philadelphia police officer there kind of testing the waters on the northbound side of Columbus Boulevard, seeing if they need to shut down that as well. Now, of course, on this road, we're just off of the Delaware River. I did talk to the Philadelphia Police Marine Unit tonight. They're expecting high tide a little after midnight. That means these waters could keep rising. Live here in Penn's Landing, Becca Hendrickson, Channel 6 Action News. Sharon Gray.
Yeah, we know this area too well around the city with the flooding. Okay, Becca, thank you.
Well, happening tonight, there are a number of flight delays and cancellations at Philadelphia International Airport due to those stormy conditions.
Yeah, we're getting the latest numbers. At this point, at least 191 flights have been delayed. Another 24 have been canceled altogether. Be sure to check on your flight status before heading out to the airport. We'll take a look at this damage to a home in Chester County tonight. A large tree was knocked over by some strong winds, and then it landed against the roof of the house. This is on the 300 block of West Biddle Street in Westchester.
And it looks more like a river at this overpass there along the 200 block of East Bernard Street. This in Westchester. And a similar situation right there at East Chestnut Street and Montgomery Avenue in West Goshen. Remember the saying, turn around, don't drown. The experts saying you should never drive through high water like you're seeing there. And across the river, you can see that the winds are whipping around there in Atlantic City.
Yeah, here it is, a live image through Sky 6. It's so dreary there that you can hardly make out the street there along where the casinos are. But yeah, this is Atlantic City tonight. The Jersey Shore, it will feel the brunt of the high winds come later into the evening.
Action News reporter Sharifa Jackson live for us there in Atlantic City. Sharifa, we can tell it's really windy and rainy where you are right now.
Yeah, we're dealing with some powerful winds, and I was just about to say, I think it's slightly better than it was a little bit earlier. We were driving all around the shore areas, and the rain was relentless. That has let up slightly, but the wind is so powerful, it's just sending the rain right into your face, and it is quite painful, I would like to add too. So you see the wind is whipping like the lights around. Everything is just blowing. This storm has made a wet, windy mess, and that mess, it continues tonight. The wind had a lot to say this evening, whipping and whistling through the quiet and empty streets of Sea Isle City. As the tide was coming up, streets began to fill with water on Landis Avenue. And as we worked our way towards Ocean City, things quickly deteriorated. The wind sent the Christmas tree at City Hall dancing and rain sweeping down the street. But none of this was enough to deter Kimberly Bolin.
You can hear the wind. It whistles. The trees are just dancing, and I love it.
We met her making a quick run for snacks, her dog Gunner right by her side.
Find myself blown down by the wind over there.
So you weren't really fazed by the weather until you actually got in it? And then
Absolutely. I didn't know it was this bad.
A state of emergency is in effect since 5 p.m. for the entire state of New Jersey. Wind gusts of 60 to 70 miles per hour expected and felt in places like Atlantic City.
We are enhancing our staffing. They will be on site, and we're looking at our most areas that have a threat for the wind.
Atlantic City Electric monitoring the storm, everyone on guard for a wet and windy night. Yeah, and to give you an idea how fast things can change, we have been in this area for about 30-40 minutes or so, and up until about 20 minutes. This intersection, it was full of standing water, it was flooded. Police were here guarding this particular area. As you can see right now, the water is all gone. So if you are driving, you want to be especially careful, but officials, they are asking people to stay inside if possible. And you can tell, once again, this wind is really powerful out here. We're live in Atlantic City tonight. Sharifa Jackson for Action News at 10 on PHL 17. Shari, Gray.
Yeah, one of those situations where if you can, stay inside. Sharifa, thanks for the update.
Yeah, you and your crew be safe there. There are a number of power outages from tonight's storm. PECO now reporting more than 123,000 are without power this evening. AC Electric says more than 24,000 are in the dark. PSE&G is reporting just over 15,000 who are without power, and Delmarva says more than 22,000 have lost electricity.
This important reminder now, keep the free 6ABC app handy as we continue to deal with the drenching rain and those high winds out there. It is also your resource for river, creek, and stream levels.
Welcome back as we take a live look at Mobile 6 on the move tonight. Of course, we are on storm watch with so much flooding, rain, and wind happening around. But Mobile 6 right now on the move on the Schuylkill Expressway. Westbound here, just past the Gladwin exit. So if you know that area, this is where Mobile 6 is on the move here in Montgomery County. But it's been a super soaking rain so far. We are getting word that there have been more school closings that are coming into Action News. They are now scrolling at the bottom of the screen. We also have them listed on our website, 6abc.com. So if you're looking for school updates, read the bottom of the screen. Also check our website. Meteorologist Cecily Tynan will have the very latest on where the storm is and more of the timing in just a few moments.
Meteorologist Cecily Tynan has been tracking it. What is the latest on this?
Well, the worst of the storm right now is across New Jersey. So that's with the squall line I've been talking about. So you can see it's actually kind of strengthened a bit. It's now into Burlington County, Atlantic County, eastern Cumberland getting ready to cross into Cape May County, and it's over the mouth of the Delaware Bay. And this is where you get the heaviest downpour, rainfall rates at more than 2 inches per hour. And this is also where you get the strongest wind gusts. Behind it, it's still raining in Philadelphia, but not nearly as intense. In Lancaster, Berks County, that rain is starting to shut off. And thank goodness, because what a night this has been. We've had more than 70 storm reports across the region, all flooding and wind related. So a lot of flooding out there and a lot of wind damage. Many people are at home without power right now. As far as the flood warnings, basically every single creek across our area is overflooding its bank. Perkiomen, Neshaminy, Assunpink, Brandywine Creek at Downingtown is expected to rise into major flooding. Also the Christina River at Cooch's Bridge, major flooding. Chester Creek at Chester also dealing with flood warnings, and those will continue as we head through the overnight hours. Wind gusts, you can see now these are the current wind gusts. They are strongest right along the coast. Atlantic City and Wildwood reporting those wind gusts more than 50 miles per hour. When you get farther west of that cold front, that squall line, the winds are still breezy, but not nearly as intense. So things will be getting better once we get past about the midnight hour. Now, this is good news for all the people at home without electricity. It's not all that cold. With this somewhat tropical connection, temperatures have been rising. It's 57 in Philadelphia right now, the same in Trenton, Millville 58, Allentown 51, and Reading 56 degrees. So a January night, you would expect temperatures to be a lot colder than this. That's kind of the saving grace for those who don't have electricity. Satellite and radar showing, you can see that heavy squall line moving through New Jersey and then central Pennsylvania. Just a lot of clouds with a few lingering showers. That's what we'll be dealing with tomorrow morning. Future tracker showing midnight, that squall line passes off the coast. Thank goodness. Tomorrow morning, we're dealing with some lingering showers, breezy conditions, and of course, the residual flooding. That's going to cause a lot of problems for the morning commute. The good news is, though, we dry things out tomorrow. A few morning showers possible. Temperatures in the mid 40s. It's very windy in the afternoon. Those wind gusts up to about 40 miles per hour as high pressure builds in. And then by 8 o'clock, the winds will diminish, partly cloudy, and Thursday will be the nicest day of the week. Enjoy it. The AccuWeather 3-day forecast showing tomorrow some showers in the morning, windy conditions, the high 49 degrees. Thursday, here comes the sun, 50 degrees. Go outside, maybe go for a walk because things change on Friday. Friday, clouds roll in, rain developing by the evening, 48 degrees, and that actually could cause us some flooding heading into the weekend. We have another AccuAlert for Friday at night. I'll talk more about that coming up in the next half hour, and maybe some snow next week.
Oh.
A lot going on.
Oh, you hear Gray. Even he's excited. Okay. Cecily, thank you.
Action News, Delaware Valley's leading news program, now continues.
Tuesday night, I'm Shari Williams alongside Gray Hall. Now the details on the AccuWeather alert that's in place tonight. There is a flood watch across our area, and it continues through tomorrow afternoon.
Action News reporter Annie McCormick, she is monitoring conditions in Chester County. But first, meteorologist Cecily Tynan kicks off our live team coverage from the Weather Center. Cecily.
And Gray and Shari, the storm system you can see, the satellite and radar, I mean, this is, we've been talking about this for days now. A very large storm. There's snow on the north and northwest flank, and the heavy rain is pushing across our area right now, really concentrated in South Jersey. That's a squall line that Future Tracker was showing for a few days ahead of a cold front, and it stretches from almost New York City right through Cape May, right across the Delaware Bay, moving through Burlington County right now, Atlantic County, and moving into Cape May County. This is the area with the strongest wind gusts and the heaviest rain. And once we get behind that, it's still raining moderately hard in Philadelphia, but it's not quite as intense. And the back edge of the rain is moving into Lancaster and Berks County. Thank goodness, because we don't need any more rain. Storm Tracker estimates showing rainfall about 2.5 to more than 3 inches in parts of Montgomery County, about the same in the Poconos and the Lehigh Valley, and they're also dealing with the snow melt. Because of that, we have widespread flooding. Flood warnings posted into the early morning hours for almost our entire viewing area countywide, and then you can see the dark green. Those are the individual waterways. Pretty much every single creek and stream is over its banks right now. It's going to take a while for the flood waters to recede. I'll talk more about that. And then guess what? You see this? We have something very similar that'll be pushing in on Friday night. I'll talk more about that coming up in the full AccuWeather 7-day forecast. Gray.
A busy time for the weather department. Cecily, thanks for the update. Well, right now there are more than 123,000 PECO customers without power across the Delaware Valley. A majority of those outages are located in Delaware County and Chester County. There are also close to 18,000 outages among Delmarva power customers throughout Newcastle and Kent counties, and in New Jersey. There are close to 35,000 Atlantic City electric customers tonight without power.
Well, there are concerns for flooding from the local creeks and rivers. And so, of course, that's one of the big concerns for tonight and into tomorrow. Action News reporter Annie McCormick now joining us live from Downingtown, Chester County, with a look at the impacts from the storm there. Annie.
Yeah, and Shari, we're in Downingtown Borough. Specifically, we're in Kerr Park, and you can see behind me the Brandywine Creek and how high it is right now. Now, Lancaster Avenue behind me is still passable, and people are still able to drive on it, but busy Pennsylvania Avenue right now is flooded. Heavy rains continue to fill the Brandywine Creek tonight in Downingtown Borough. The water is moving quickly. Power outages here are intermittent. Across Chester County, the effects of tonight's weather are widespread. This tree affected traffic on Downingtown Pike, and in Westchester, in the 300 block of West Biddle Street, this tree fell onto a house. Police say no one was injured. Delaware County Emergency Management activated their emergency center at noon today. They're concerned when tides rise, water has nowhere to go, and the ground is already saturated.
Tonight around 11 o'clock, we'll have a high tide. Depending on the rain over the next few hours, we could be serious flooding in many areas. This event could come 11, 12 o'clock tonight. That you think it didn't rain very hard in your community, but the rain and the water has risen.
Drivers describe navigating the roadways tonight.
The puddles have been really tough because you can't see when that happens.
And how's the visibility so far?
Terrible. Yeah, the wind is starting to driving rain now, so it's getting tough.
Now, right near us is Downingtown Borough Police Headquarters. They're also right next to the Brandywine Creek. And you might remember several years ago, they had significant damage from flooding. Tonight, they moved their vehicles to higher ground. For now, reporting live in Downingtown Borough, Annie McCormick for Action News at 10 on PHL 17. Gray and Shari.
Okay, Annie, thanks for the update. Parts of Northampton County also experiencing flooding tonight. Take a look at this. This is a look at Willow Park Road there in Bethlehem Township. You can see lots of water out there on the road and cars driving through this. You should not be doing that. This is a reminder, if you see water on the road, don't do what these drivers are doing. Turn around. Don't drive through water if you do not know how deep it is.
Part of a building collapsed in Marcus Hook tonight. This happened around 8 this evening. Officials say a portion of an old hardware store came crumbling down. Crews are now on the scene to clean it up. East 10th Street up until Church Street will remain closed while the work is underway. Be sure to download the 6ABC app to stay ahead of the storm. In addition to getting the latest alerts from AccuWeather, you can also check for possible flooding across the waterways with updated charts from the National Weather Service. We want to give you another live look right now. Mobile 6 is on the move here as we see how the driving conditions are. This is on 76 eastbound near the area of the Blue Route. And this is again Mobile 6 moving at a pretty good pace. It appears not too many people on the roads. They've asked drivers to stay off the roadways if you can, but they could be dangerous out there, of course, because of the rain and the flooding and the wind. So be careful. And if you see any standing water, be sure, if you can avoid it, to do just that. Let's get back now to the AccuWeather forecast, which led this newscast. Very heavy rain making its way through the area right now.
Hopefully most of it has pushed off the shore. Meteorologist Cecily Tynan in for Adam with the details tonight.
And the worst of it is about to push off the shore.
Okay.
So let me show you Storm Tracker 6 live double scan. We've been talking about this squall line actually for several days, and you can see how it is now approaching the Garden State Parkway, that line of bright red, and that contains some pretty intense wind gusts and rain at the rate of more than 2 inches per hour. So that's like the rate of a thunderstorm you get in the middle of the summer, where you can't drive through. You kind of have to just pull over. You can see it's working through Toms River area right now, Atlantic City. It's actually moved off the coast at the southern tip of Cape May. And then behind it, we still have some moderately heavy rain in Philadelphia, but even here you can see that parts of Delco, parts of Chester County, we've got the green. So that's an indication the rain is lessening. So everything will really be improving dramatically over the next few hours. The problem, though, the damage is done with all the heavy rain. Now, the Brandywine at Downingtown is now forecast to have major flooding tonight. Midnight crest about 4 feet above flood stage, and also the Christina River at Cooch's Bridge now forecast major flooding, one of the top 5 highest crests, 2 feet above flood stage. That will be happening at midnight tonight. A lot of people without power tonight. The saving grace is that it's not that cold, so at least we're not dealing with brutal temperatures. We're in the upper 50s, which is very warm for January standards. 57 Philadelphia, Allentown 51, Wilmington 53, and Millville 58 degrees with that wind out of the south and that tropical nature. That's why temperatures are relatively warm. Wind gusts, you can see, still pretty gusty. Harvey Cedars 40 miles per hour, Philadelphia 33, but we had peak wind gusts more than 60 miles per hour earlier this evening, so they are starting to improve. Delaware Bay, Delaware River, moderate flooding up right now, and this likely will take a while before it recedes. So I think the flooding will continue much of the day tomorrow, also along the Schuylkill River. Satellite radar showing that cold front is pushing away from us. We have this upper level low that's spinning behind it. So that will keep us on the breezy side tomorrow. But as that front pushes away, we dry things out for the most part. A few showers in the morning, but we're not talking about any flooding rains in the morning. Chilly winds, though, those winds gusting to about 40 miles per hour tomorrow afternoon. But at least we'll see some peaks of sunshine. Nicest day of the week will be on Thursday. Thursday, mostly sunny, still a little bit breezy, but that high up to 50 degrees. That low pressure shoots up to the north. Don't really have to worry about it, but we have another system waiting the wings, and this will bring us rain on Friday night. Looks somewhat similar to tonight's storm. I don't think it's going to have as much wind, but it will have 1 to 2 inches of rain. And then behind that system, core of the cold air will be heading to the Midwest Sunday through next week, although we also have temperatures below average. So the exclusive AccuWeather 7-day forecast tomorrow: morning showers, windy conditions with a high of 49 degrees. Thursday, we get the sunshine. It's breezy. It's a nice day, 50 degrees. Friday, clouds are back. Rain develop by evening, 48 degrees. Looks like we could get 1 to 2 inches of rain. So we've issued an active alert for Friday night for the potential for more flooding. And then temperatures take a tumble on Saturday. The high 55 in the morning, overnight low 28. And then Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, temperatures only in the 30s. Looks to be mostly cloudy from MLK Day of Service, but Tuesday, the possibility of another storm. This one could bring us rain or possibly even snow. Stay tuned on that.
Good tease, Cecily Tynan.
Let's just take them one at a time now.
Please.
Come on.
Oh my goodness.
One after another. Okay. Cecily, thank you. All right.
Action News, Delaware Valley's leading news program with Rick Williams.
A torrential storm has created a tumultuous evening for residents throughout the region. From heavy flooding at the Jersey Shore to high winds and toppled trees in Chester County to downed power lines in Delaware. The damage is extensive and it's not over yet. Tuesday night, and the big story on Action News is an AccuWeather alert still in effect as a powerful storm continues to pummel the tri-state. Besides the widespread flooding and damage, a number of schools will be delayed tomorrow. You can see the list scrolling at the bottom of your screen. We also have a team of reporters standing by across the region with a closer look at the dangerous conditions. But first, let's get right over to meteorologist Cecily Tynan. And Cecily, how much longer before the storm subsides?
Minutes. Which is great news because this storm unfortunately lived up to its expectations. But Storm Tracker 6 live double scan showing a couple of things. First of all, you look across Chester County, Lancaster County, Berks County, nothing more than a few showers. Philadelphia, we have moderately heavy rain. This is a squall line been talking about for days ahead of a cold front pushing through, and this is what has the heaviest downpours. Now it has now pushed off the coast at Cape May. It's right over Atlantic City. It's over the Garden State Parkway just west of Surf City, and the rainfall rates with this squall line unbelievable at about 2.5 inches per hour. So that's when the sky just unleashes. It's like a thunderstorm in the middle of the summer, but it's pushing off. So it will be off the coast completely within the next few minutes. The problem is the damage was done. You can see the rainfall today anywhere from about 1 to 3 inches, and that has caused widespread flooding. Flood warnings are posted into the early morning hours for most of our viewing area, and where you see that darker green, those are the individual waterways. Pretty much every single creek and stream is over its banks, and the rivers are also beginning to flood. Peak wind gusts also show that we've got a lot of power outages. Island Beach State Park, Ocean County, reporting a peak wind gust of 72 miles per hour. Brigantine, McGuire Air Force Base, more than 60. Even Philadelphia, it's not the worst of it, but we had wind gusts more than 50 miles per hour. So we do have widespread power outages. Morning commute tomorrow giving it a red light. Flooding continues and a lot of debris. We have another storm Friday night. I'll talk more about that coming up with the full AccuWeather forecast. Rick.
All right, Cecil, we'll check back in later. Thank you. One of the biggest threats tonight has been from falling trees. Action News reporter Annie McCormick live in Downingtown to show us some of the damage there. Annie.
Yeah, and Rick, it literally just stopped raining about 5 minutes ago. We're in Kerr Park in Downingtown Borough in front of the Brandywine Creek, which is really high. You can actually see a boat behind me. I can't see without my glasses on whether it's a kayak or what. Don't recommend it, but you can see because the river is so high, it is moving very quickly. Lancaster Avenue, people are still able to drive on, but Pennsylvania Avenue here is flooded. Heavy rains continue to fill the Brandywine Creek tonight in Downingtown Borough. The water is moving quickly. Power outages here are intermittent. Across Chester County, the effects of tonight's weather are widespread. This tree affected traffic on Downingtown Pike, and in Westchester, in the 300 block of West Biddle Street, this tree fell onto a house. Police say no one was injured. Delaware County Emergency Management activated their emergency center at noon today. They're concerned when tides rise, water has nowhere to go, and the ground is already saturated.
Tonight around 11 o'clock, we'll have a high tide. Depending on the rain over the next few hours, we could be serious flooding in many areas. This event could come 11, 12 o'clock tonight. That you think it didn't rain very hard in your community, but the rain and the water has risen.
Drivers describe navigating the roadways tonight.
The puddles have been really tough because you can't see when that happens.
And how's the visibility so far?
Terrible. Yeah, the wind is starting to driving rain now, so it's getting tough.
And again, not recommended to be in a boat on the Brandywine Creek right now. Like we said, it is very high and it is moving very quickly. Additionally, here in Downingtown Borough, police headquarters had problems with flooding several years ago. Tonight, they moved their cruisers to higher ground. For now, reporting live in Downingtown Borough, Annie McCormick, Channel 6 Action News. Rick.
All right, Annie, thank you. New video shows crews safely rescuing a person in a car on Indian Creek Road here in Upper Milford Township. The road is closed due to extreme flooding conditions, as you can see. The water coming from a creek nearby that has already flooded multiple times in the last month here in Lehigh County. A scary scene in Pike Creek, Delaware, when about 6 power lines fell on Milltown Road near Pecksniff Road. Some of those live wires fell on top of vehicles, trapping people inside. Fire crews responded and helped get them out safely. Meanwhile, thousands of people are without power, and that number is likely to grow overnight. PECO is reporting 123,000 outages at this hour. In Delaware, Delmarva is reporting more than 22,000. And in South Jersey, there are nearly 15,000 PSE&G customers in the dark right now. And there are just over 24,000 Atlantic City Electric customers without power. All right, let's go live to Action News reporter Sharifa Jackson, who's standing by in Atlantic City with a closer look at the storm's impact at the Jersey Shore and the rain really coming down there, Sharifa.
Yeah, Rick, things got really nasty here within the last 10-15 minutes. You can see the rain is really coming down. We're dealing with some monstrous winds here, and this has been ongoing for a little bit now. You can see a mixture of this is just no fun. The wind is just racing through the street. It's blowing the traffic lights, and it's just caused a nasty mess all around the shore tonight. The wind had a lot to say this evening, whipping and whistling through the quiet and empty streets of Sea Isle City. As the tide was coming up, streets began to fill with water on Landis Avenue. And as we worked our way towards Ocean City, things quickly deteriorated. The wind sent the Christmas tree at City Hall dancing and rain sweeping down the street. But none of this was enough to deter Kimberly Bolin.
You can hear the wind. It whistles. The trees are just dancing, and I love it.
We met her making a quick run for snacks, her dog Gunner right by her side.
Find myself blown down by the wind over there.
So you weren't really fazed by the weather until you actually got in it? And then
Absolutely. I didn't know it was this bad.
A state of emergency is in effect since 5 p.m. for the entire state of New Jersey. Wind gusts of 60 to 70 miles per hour expected and felt in places like Atlantic City.
We are enhancing our staffing. They will be on site, and we're looking at our most areas that have a threat for the wind.
Atlantic City Electric monitoring the storm, everyone on guard for a wet and windy night. Yeah, you can see how fast the conditions can change here between this wind, this rain. This road is already starting to flood. Again, we saw it flooded earlier today, so if you are driving, you want to be careful. We're live in Atlantic City. Sharifa Jackson, Channel 6 Action News. Rick?
All right, Sharifa, thank you for that report. We want to take a live look at some of the major roads tonight. This is the scene from Mobile 6, which is stopped along 76 East near the Blue Route because of flooding on the road. You can see a lot of traffic at a standstill. This is eastbound 76 heading towards the city right by the Blue Route. Mobile 6 not going anywhere. Let's turn now to Action News reporter Becca Hendrickson, who's live at Penn's Landing with an update on conditions across the city as well. Becca.
Rick, all night we've been watching water rise on Columbus Boulevard behind me. Take a look. Police had to shut it down from about Vine Street to Race Street, excuse me. You can understand why. The water is now coming over onto the sidewalk, quickly rising here in the city, and it's not the only area where we're seeing issues. As rain and wind whip water down the roadways, emergency crews are asking drivers to stay clear.
Flooding, even though it may look safe, it is not safe. What may look like 2 inches of water could be 2-3 feet of water. So if you see flooding, don't go through it.
Ponding began early in the evening on Columbus Boulevard, one of the hot spots Philadelphia police have been monitoring for flooding. The others, River Road in Roxborough, Main Street in Manayunk, Cobbs Creek Parkway, and Kelly Drive.
I was just riding on the 76 and I seen the Schuylkill River. It seems a little rough out there, but other than that, it's not too bad. We had worse.
As waters rise in the Schuylkill River, the wind is another threat, knocking down this tree on Kelly Drive and this one onto a car on the 1800 block of Green Street in Spring Garden.
There are alternate routes. We're in a very large city. There are many roadways. There's alternate routes pretty much for everything.
Police are urging anyone who can to stay home during the storm. As high tide approaches after midnight, the threat of flooding becomes higher too.
The ultimate goal is going to be to get through this onslaught of rain safely and get things back to normal.
Some residents, however, didn't want to break their routine despite the inclement weather.
We are going to the gym because the grind doesn't stop.
Rick, hopefully he got home safely after that. Now, I'm looking at police right now. It looks like they're shutting down the other side of the road as well. Of course, high tide approaching. These waters are expected to continue to rise both here on the Delaware River side of the city and, of course, the Schuylkill side as well. Live here in Penn's Landing, Becca Hendrickson, Channel 6 Action News. Rick?
Becca, thank you. The Lehigh Valley remains under a flood warning as the waters continue to rise here. And drivers had to be extra cautious going through Willow Park Road in Bethlehem Township, while parts of Sunset Drive shut down because of high water on the road. We will have the latest on the storm's track and the road conditions during the morning commute on Action News starting at 4 a.m. You can also watch us using the 6 ABC app on your phone. All right, we remain under an AccuWeather alert tonight. There are a number of flood watches in effect due to the heavy rainfall. We want to take another live picture from Mobile 6. As we mentioned, stopped along 76 East near the Blue Route because of flooding on the roadway. Traffic hardly moving there because of the wet roads. In fact, we're told there's a state trooper. It's kind of blocked in because of the traffic that's been pulled over to the sides. So no one is going anywhere here on the Schuylkill eastbound near the Blue Route because of flooding on the highways. A watery mess there tonight. Conditions so bad that SEPTA has suspended all service of the Paoli-Thorndale line until 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. And of course, we'll have an update on the conditions from meteorologist Cecily Tynan coming up in just a few moments. Let's head back over to meteorologist Cecily Tynan with a closer look at the conditions out there. And slowly but surely, the storm is moving past us.
Yes, the conditions are definitely improving. Still pretty strong rain at the shore right now. Let's go live on Sky 6, taking a look, trying to take a look towards the Ben Franklin Bridge, and you can see some of the raindrops on the lens there. And we do have road closures near Penn's Landing right now, thanks to the Delaware flooding, and they likely will expand over the next 45 minutes. The high tide will be at midnight. This is the worst of it. Poor Sharifa was in it in Atlantic City. That heavy squall with the heaviest downpours. It's now pushed off the coast of Atlantic City. It's over LBI. And once this completely clears the coast, that's when our weather starts to settle down. We still have some moderate rain behind it, but the winds aren't quite as strong and the rain isn't nearly as heavy. The problem, though, is all the rain that's already fallen. Brandywine Creek at Downingtown forecast to have major flooding, cresting at midnight about 4 feet above flood stage, and also the Christina River at Cooch's Bridge also expected to have major flooding, cresting at midnight as well. Now, the saving grace for everyone at home who doesn't have power, and I know it's a lot of people, it's not cold out there. We have temperatures at 60 degrees in Lancaster, 56 in Philadelphia. This tropical connection brought us some very warm air. The cold air doesn't really arrive until the weekend. The winds also beginning to subside. Harvey Cedars 42-mile-an-hour wind gusts, Pottstown 26. We had wind gusts more than 70 miles an hour at the shore today. So it's starting to get better. Delaware Bay, Delaware River, though, that flooding continues, and major flooding in Philadelphia at midnight. A lot of road closures because of that. And again, they may be expanding as that river continues to rise. Satellite and radar showing that storm system, the worst of it has cleared the coast. If you look to the west, you can see this upper level low that's spinning. That will help kick up the winds tomorrow. Winds could be gusting up to about 40 miles per hour. A few morning showers possible, and then we clear things out. That high 49 degrees, but cold winds tomorrow, but we shouldn't have any major weather problems for those cleaning up after the flooding and all the storm damage. Thursday, it's breezy, but it's pretty comfortable. 50 degrees, mostly sunny. Enjoy it, because Friday night we've got another storm system. Looks to take a similar path as tonight. Probably not as much wind, thank goodness, not quite as intense, but we are looking at the possibility of more flooding. Once that storm is out of here, it unleashes some very cold air. The core of the cold will actually be across the Midwest and the plains, but temperatures will be below average for a change Sunday through much of next week. And you have cold air, and another possible storm actually could bring us some snow, believe it or not. So the exclusive AccuWeather 7-day forecast tomorrow, some morning showers. It's windy with a high of 49 degrees. Thursday, beautiful day, nicest day of the week, mostly sunny, breezy, 50. Friday, though, the clouds fill in very quickly, rain arriving by evening, 48 degrees. And yes, we do have an AccuWeather alert for the potential for 1 to 2 inches of rain, so that likely will cause another round of flooding. On Saturday, it's very windy, temperatures tumble. That high in the 50s, we hit that in the morning. We're down to 28 degrees overnight. Then on Sunday, wintry winds, 37 degrees. MLK Day of Service on Monday, mostly cloudy, 35. And Tuesday, our next storm system will bring us the possibility of rain or maybe even snow, depending on track, with a high of 36 degrees. So tomorrow, please be careful. Going to be a lot of road closures. And of course, Karen Rogers will have the latest on Action News at 4.
All right, no rest for the weary, huh?
It's a busy weather pattern.
All right, Seth, thank you again. All right, one more look from Mobile 6 before we leave. And once again, it is still stuck on 76 East near the Blue Route because of flooding on the Schuylkill Expressway. It stopped about a mile before the Belmont exit, and it's very slow going here on this part of the Schuylkill. The threat of high water and downed trees could also make for a messy commute tomorrow. Be sure to wake up with Action News at 4 a.m. with Taylor Edwards, Matt O'Donnell, meteorologist Karen Rogers, Matt Pellman with traffic. Jimmy Kimmel Live is next on Channel 6, followed by Nightline. Now for meteorologist Cecily Tynan, Deuces Rogers, the entire Action News team, I'm Rick Williams. Be safe out there. We'll see you right here tomorrow. Good night.